No, I do not.
Do I have to swear him in?
Yes, you do.
I swear at him.
But you kind of looked at
Last
that.
act.
I am
Okay.
I think you do.
Might as well do it, like I say.
I think you do.
Well, we're not gonna sign these certificates.
I never got one the first time. This is,
Imagine that.
this is, and everyone gets an award society.
We'll do you and Billy first. Then we'll do Bill, and then we'll do Stacy. Does that work?
Sure. Do we get certificates?
Well, yeah, we'll create certificates.
They'll come, I promise.
Participation.
Yes, participation award.
Yeah.
We not understand why that was your kid.
There should be two.
I did the first time.
Three times 20.
There's three of them there, please. Three? Sign for it.
That's canvas.
Nathan, after we get you this up into your office and finish my signature.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Here's the other two.
Just to make up.
Right.
You know, Saturday night.
What happened?
Baseball broke one gun.
Who's?
Who? My neighbor.
Send the bill. All right, pretty good off covered. Amendments to the. Yeah. Agenda?
Mayor, we have one proposed amendment, I'd like to strike under new business, letter E, ordinance 609.
Okay. And I understand Stacy already knew about this too?
Correct.
We're taking that off. For what reason?
We need to discuss it further with fire department.
Is that your recommendation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that need a motion to approve the agenda? Have a motion, need a second?
Second. You have a second, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Visitors to be heard. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the next one. Public hearing for a temporary alcohol license for the Lennox Commercial Club. I declare the public hearing open.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a relatively simple action item for tonight. As part of the 4th of July celebration for street dance, usually this application comes in with a special event permit. It was missed this year, so we're doing it tonight instead of when we approved the special event permit. This allows the Lennox Commercial Club to serve beer within the fence of the street dance on July 3, and it's for that date only, or that event only, I should say.
Motion approved.
Motion by Sam. Second. Second by Chad Riley. Any discussion?
I think we actually take up the,
Oh,
Next
Yeah, I
time,
don't
this
think
is
we-
just the first.
this is just the hearing, so we take it up under new business as an action item.
Yeah. All right, so any other input? I'll declare it public hearing closed. And the first reading done. Next one is consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Chad and Sam. Okay, since it involves finance, I'll do a roll call. Billy? Chad? Aye. Sam?
Aye.
Brock?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, that takes care of the consent agenda. Old business, manufactured home court licenses.
Thank you, Mayor. As you'll note in your packets, we received a letter from the owner of one of the manufactured home parks last week. I also received a letter late this afternoon from another that seemed to object to the process and or form in which the inspections were pursued, if that could be the word. The letter and my communication with Rob Huber from Sunnyside Manufactured Home Park indicated a desire from the park for an extension to complete the additional work that's needed to come into compliance with the code. You'll all recall that following receipt of those renewal applications, Greg McMahon and I inspected all these manufactured home courts and provided feedback on the improvements needed to come into compliance with the city's ordinances and regulations. That was provided to each applicant by a certified letter and email when possible. And that letter stated that, and the report stated, that in order for a license to be renewed, all deficiencies must be resolved by June 30, 2020. On June 9, I received a letter from Jason, who's been working for Rob at Sunnyside, to resolve the issues noted as deficiencies on the inspection. Mr. Soderberg and staff have communicated often in the past as he works to resolve those deficiencies. We've had very close communication very often, and he has been working towards making those improvements. On the 15th, I met with Jason and Rob to discuss the status of the work to resolve those deficiencies. Mr. Huber requested a 1-month extension at that meeting to complete the necessary work and questioned whether the mobile homes owned by others and not by the park would be required to meet the requirements. The letter notes that the letters were distributed to individual homeowners on May 18, 2020, which is more than a month after the results of the inspection were distributed to the park owners. As I stated at this meeting, and really I can reiterate here, there's no mechanism in our ordinances for an extension to complete the work. Remind the mayor and council as well as park owners that the revisions made to Chapter 12 of our ordinances last year were presented to all manufactured home park owners on at least 2 occasions prior to passage, so that we could incorporate their feedback into that ordinance. At no time did any park owner request a clause allowing extensions of licensing periods. Additionally, park owners requested additional time prior to the expiration of license to make repairs, and the city incorporated those requests into the ordinance. They're requiring inspections to be completed at least 60 days prior to the expiration of the license. Because there is no clause allowing extensions, and because the parks received ample notification of the deficiencies, I cannot recommend allowing any park any extension to complete the work required. In addition, not allowing the extension, I believe enforcement measures should be assessed to park owners that are not in compliance immediately beginning on July 1, 2020. Chapter 1.05 of our revised zoning regulations permits the city to assess a fine of $500 or imprisonment of no more than 30 days, with each day of violation constituting a separate offense. At this point, I would recommend authorization to assess zoning penalties against those park owners not in compliance, effective July 1st.
Do we need authorization, since it is an ordinance?
It's an ordinance.
We do not.
It's a law, right?
It is.
And it goes against the park owner, not the individual homeowner.
Correct. It goes against the applicant and the owner of the land. It should be the owner.
And this all got laid out last time we met, right, last spring?
Yes,
And were our inspections completed 60 days in advance?
they were. More than 60 days.
And we gave them an opportunity to look at those,
Yes.
Well,
right?
this is what we talked about with the gas line thing, right? Or these.
That was one of the items.
Those
Yeah,
were-
but I mean, that came up,
Yeah, but all this stuff was said a year ago, and
We
the
did.
park owners had a chance to look at it, we never received anything back on, no, we don't like this, or we don't.
We received feedback and we
Okay.
incorporated some of that
Right,
into the new
okay.
ordinance.
That was the 60-day inspection.
One of
They
them,
haven't
one of
been
them,
done
yes.
early.
Yep.
If I recall, we did give a 30-day extension last year.
We did.
So what are you looking, what do we need here, like a motion to authorize us to enforce our laws?
You can now opt to do no action and I can simply move forward with it as well.
Yeah. I would think a motion would be if we're going to change something or intercede. Simply by doing nothing at this one, right?
Taking no action would allow enforcement to continue regardless.
Okay. Any discussion other than what's been done? Okay. We're gonna move into an adjournment. I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second?
Chad,
Oh, Chad. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. We are in adjournment. Now we convene the new council.
Correct. You will call in the new council, and give the oath of office first to Mr. Welch and Mr. Riley, and to Mr. Doherty, and
We
then
don't get certificates. But I don't know for Mr. Do you solemnly swear to affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinances of the city of Lennox, and will faithfully discharge the duties of alderman for your wards for the city of Lennox, Lennox, South Dakota, to the best of your abilities? If so, say I will. I will. Thank you both. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Congratulations. Bill? 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 William, I believe. I Tracy Westbury, Lennox, Lincoln County, South Dakota, hereby appoint and the commission Bill Doherty to serve as alderman for Ward 2. And hereby do authorize and empower and require them to execute, fulfill the duties of said office with all the rights, authorities, and privileges to pay thereto apparently to effectively June 2nd, 2020. You, Bill, solemnly swear to or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinance of the city of Lennox, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of alderman for Ward 2 for the city of Lennox, Lincoln County, South Dakota, to the best of your abilities. If so, say I will.
I will.
Thank you very much. Stacy. I, Tracy West, Mayor of Lennox, Lincoln County, South Dakota, do hereby appoint commission Duchesne to serve as mayor, and do hereby authorize, empower, and require her to execute and fulfill the duties of said office with all rights, authorities, and privileges, and pay thereto pertaining to the effective June 22nd, 2020. Do you, Stacy, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinances of the City of Lennox, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of mayor for the City of Lennox, Lincoln County, South Dakota, to the best of your abilities? Or so say I will.
I will.
Congratulations. Thank you. I think we switch over now.
All right.
You want to pay for this or is that a computer?
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so, all right, we're back. Help me out here.
Come back in.
Yep, so we're back into session, under city council organization, letter B, election of council president and vice president.
So I'd like to open the floor for anybody, some,
I'll nominate Brock Rouse to be our council president, Chad Wolf to be our vice president.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Second.
all right. Rock and check.
And this is an action item, so we need a vote.
All right. Roll call? No,
No, just a voice vote.
Just voice
We're
vote.
fine there, thank you.
sorry, guys, I have them down here. All in agreement with that?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, sounds good. Onto the mayoral appointment of city attorney and city engineer. I would like to entertain a motion to table both of these. Just to give myself more time to think and move forward at a later date. Can I get a motion or?
What's that?
Oh, I thought you said something. You're wanting to table it, Stacy?
Yes, just usually there's more time between being elected and being seated to have a meeting with both the attorney and the engineer before making those appointments.
You thinking like next meeting or what are your,
Yeah, I do.
motion? Call the question on how to sign it, is that what it is?
So in a situation such as this, without a second, the motion would die for lack of a second. And then we would have to take the matter up tonight as under city organization. So in terms of how to proceed, that's the purview of the mayor, and deciding at this point or at another date. It's going to have to come tonight if that's a good motion, or a second, I should say.
Well, in terms of this council, I think we've made, I mean, we had 5 different, I can speak to the engineering side. 5 different engineers there over the last, like, 5 months ago, and saw everything the council, in my opinion, had to see, and we elected our city engineer. Now, if that needs to be looked at and changed later, fine. But in my opinion, in the middle of a project, we're not gonna change engineer, and we just looked at it 4 months ago. Again, my opinion as a council.
That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, it was a long process and
I think it was actually 7.
we came to an agreement.
Unless you as a council has changed your opinions on the engineer. I guess you can have that discussion.
My opinion has not changed.
Not just the engineer, like I said, I haven't had a chance to meet with the attorney, and I'd like to do that before we can have our meetings.
Well, can we separate these out then as 2 different appointments?
We may, typically it would come as 2 motions, 2 separate motions and seconds. So that is a possibility.
So we don't have a second.
At this point, there is no second.
Would you entertain your appointment for the engineer and postpone the attorney since you haven't had a chance to meet with them?
The council entertain separating them out and getting motions.
Yeah,
I think so.
sure.
Okay, so,
I'll make a motion to table the city attorney. Appoint our city attorney.
No. Second.
Is there a discussion we can have regarding city attorney that's not just in terms of that in the public, or?
If it's been motioned and seconded, the table, discussion should end at that point.
Okay.
so then I will appoint Stucco engineer, an engineering for the city engineer position.
Could you back up and do the first, just make
Right.
a all in favor of
Oh, I'm
of
sorry.
tabling the city
All
attorney?
in favor of tabling, city attorney?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so now I will appoint Stucco engineers as city engineer. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Need a motion.
Sorry.
You're fine.
I'll figure it
Motion
out.
to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Stockwell as city engineer.
Okay.
Bowers and then Wolf was second.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now on to the appointments of the committees.
Need a vote.
Need a vote
on that one.
first.
All in favor of city engineer?
I'll abstain.
And opposed? All right. I promise it'll get better, guys.
You're fine.
Now, the appointment of committees. So you want me to read all these through?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that'd be best.
Yep. Okay, so for the streets, water, sewer, I have Chad Wolf as chairman, then Brock Rops, Sam Bowers. For Parks, Rec, and Pool, I have Chad Riley as chairman, Chad Wolf, and Billy Welch. For Finance, Economic Development, I have Sam Bowers as chairman, Chad Wolf, and Chad Riley. For Zoning and Buildings, I have Billy Welch as chairman, Brock Rops, Bill Doherty. For Police, Fire, Ambulance, I have Brock Rops as the chairman, Sam Bowers, Bill Doherty. And then Library, Solid Waste, Weeds, Bill Doherty as chairman, Billy Welch, and Chad Riley. So I think I got them all, just to get everybody. Chairman, and then 2 other committees.
So you would, at this point, need to request a motion to approve the committee assignments as proposed.
So moved. Second.
Chad and Welch.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then on to designation of official newspaper. I will make a motion to appoint the Lennox Independent as official newspaper for the city of Lennox.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, got through that. On to new business. We have Jesse Conkert of LCEDA.
Thank you, Mayor. Jesse is the new Economic Development Director for Lincoln and Minnehaha County at, in our case, Lincoln County Economic Development Association. Here to introduce himself and his work and how we're working together at this point.
Thank you, Nate, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me speak with you here tonight. Some background on myself, I spent the last 4 years working as the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Director for the City of Hartford. I grew up in a small town in Mobridge, north central South Dakota, and attended Augustana University in Sioux Falls. And while I actually interned with the previous Executive Director of Lakita, Nick Foshheim, and that was my entrance into this industry of economic development. A little bit about Lakita. Lakita was formed slightly after Makita, its Minnehaha County counterpart, and we're organized to help support communities like yourselves in Lincoln County to help them grow as they see fit, to support their staff, to support your organizations, to provide any insight you might require or need on any projects you may be planning. But also to help tell your story as your community grows and as you continue to add more housing and development. Part of our job at Lakita is to help tell the story to the folks in the world, what's happening here across the region. Lakita was really formed with a true regional mindset, and that the idea that a rising tide lifts all boats is what we like to practice and preach. What's good for Lennox is good for Hartford, what's good for Brandon is good for Harrisburg, and so forth and so forth. And so I've been the executive director of Lakita now since April 1st. My first day in the job, I like to say it's a big joke because I couldn't meet with anybody for about two and a half months. And so I'm a people person. And it's been was challenging for me the last few months not being able to talk and speak with the folks that I serve. I look forward to working with you all in some capacity. We are working at Makita right now and how it's functioned the last 20 to 30 years and what we can be doing today to adapt for the future. We live in a very rapidly changing world. And our organization has undergone some changes over the last 20, 30 years, but some more needed to be up to date with the times. And so we're working closely with Nate, and your rep here is Charisse. She's on our board. Each community has a representative. Each county has a representative. And there's also utility companies like Mid-American, Xcel Energy, Southeastern, Sioux Valley, and others that have board positions with our organization. So we're looking forward to working with you. Any questions for me? I'd be happy to take them right now or sit down over a meeting in the future to talk as well.
Well, the sooner you can bring more commercial and big business to Lennox, the better.
We'll definitely be working on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. If you have any ideas you want to chase or any rabbit holes you want to go down, give me a call. I like to dream. I'll help dream with you. I'll help vision with you. And I'll tell you what, you have a great asset here with Nate. It's been great to work with him already the last 2.5, 3 months. We've been on Zoom calls several times per month, and I've learned a lot from Nate already. And I think that really says a lot about our regions. We work with each other, and not just one person, it's a teamwork. It's a team effort. And so, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, next, Central Basin 2, pay application 8.
Let's see, we've got Central Basin 2 pay application for the new contract. That's payment for work in place to date. Was this part of your claims before? It was not. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, I didn't bring the pay app with me, but it's for work in place to date with winter contracting. At this stage, you still have the asphalt to do on this last phase. We still have some sidewalks to do there right now. So this is basically all the work up to probably June 5, I think is the date.
June 5. Yeah. So it won't have the curb and gutter that they recently put on there, but it'll have probably everything before that.
One of the other things to point out, I had a question earlier today about liquidated damages on this. That started on June 15, so that was prior to this pay application, so liquidated damages should be assessed on the next pay application.
How long do you anticipate it'll take them to finish up?
The last schedule we saw from them, they thought toward 1st of July, just before 4th of July is when they thought it would be finished. Just seeing the progress last week, you know, I can see it tailing in a little past that. We're meeting with them this week still to see what the updated schedule is. So we'll get that updated from them.
And the liquidated damages, does that run on Saturday and Sundays?
Yep, it's daily. Every day that expires.
Mayor and council, I would recommend a motion to approve the application number 8.
So moved. Second.
And then
Roll call.
All right, Chad Wolf.
Aye.
Brock.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Billy.
Aye.
And then next, you as well, Mitch.
Yeah.
Central Basin 3 pay application.
Central Basin 3 pay application 1 is the contract with Solar Construction. They've gotten started on their work. This was the first pay app. We did have a revision that was made with the retainage. So I just wanted to make sure, Denise, that we've got the updated pay applications in the packets, and that's what we're using.
We do. Yep.
So I have an amount of $109,329.75.
Payment for this application?
Yep.
122.62.72.
That's what I asked.
Justice Center, right?
I saw the email.
What'd you have, Mitch? 109?
109, 329.75.
Any idea where the 11 grand comes from?
It's the retainage.
You're just putting more
There was a
retainage?
decimal point off on the
We had an error on the retainage calculation.
So it should have been $9,404.
Yep, so we corrected that on a revised pay app, and that's what should be in the package.
109,329.75. So that updated one is on the mayor's desk.
Can we approve it by amending the amount here on the paperwork?
You may. Yeah, as you can, my recommendation would be to approve the amended,
Amount,
yes.
okay. I'll make a motion to approve the amended amount of $109,329.75.
Second.
All right, Chad Wolf.
Aye.
Brock.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Chad Riley.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
And Billy.
Aye.
6-0. Anything else?
I didn't have anything else to see.
Any questions for Mitch?
Have there been any, with having both in town, like everything's kind of transitioning to that phase three,
It is.
pretty seamlessly,
It's
or?
transitioned well for the contractors, you know, probably for the people that live along there now, some of them have work on both sides, and it's a little bit more impactful, probably a little bit less convenient for those folks. But as far as the work's been going, it's been pretty seamless. They were able to sub out of the intersection far enough that Soy was able to take from there and go up the line, and haven't had any issues with that regard.
One of the nice things about Central Basin 3 is all of the residents, if I remember right, all have alleys
Yep.
that they can continue to have access to. So that's been very helpful on this project. Unfortunately, I think this is the last project where we actually have that, but it is nice to have.
Did we get the logistics figured out with the fire department and get their trucks in and out too?
We're still working on that. You know, there's a concern that there's not a lot of clearance on that engine that goes in there, so we're working on it. We feel we might have to adjust that a little bit just to make sure we get that equipment fit. So we're working on that for now.
Okay.
For the rest of the council, the concern there is that with the door that the tower truck sits in right now, can't get any higher. But if that street elevation goes down a few inches, that tower could actually hit the top of that, or the top of the door there. So that's what we're talking about, possibly adjusting the elevation of the street right in front.
Do we have any other solutions like a big, heavy steel plate so they could transition down, lower the road or something?
I guess our goal is trying not to change the street elevations there, just let them know that we don't have an issue.
It can be done, we think.
Yeah, that's all we've really been exploring, that's our goal, is just to get the street to be at the same elevation. You know, if we can bring it up a little bit, we might even try to do that, but I think that'll probably be difficult for us.
What'll this do for drainage?
That's the goal, is really to make sure that we're still meeting the drainage standards that we have out there. We'll update you probably next time where we're going with that.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.
Next up is the alcoholic beverage license for Lennox Commercial Club. That was on, first reading was earlier. And so,
Motion to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We took off item E, so on to item F, the Lincoln County tax levy.
Thank you, Mayor. As council is aware, at our last meeting, we were brought up to speed by the Lincoln County Auditor that the county inadvertently missed a collection of property taxes to cover our principal and interest payments on the bond from the swimming pool. So we've been through a number of different options to explore on, for lack of a better term, making the residents of the community whole as it relates to paying off this bond. So I've laid out 4 options in the memo for you to consider. I'm sure there are others, but these are the 4 that we've probably discussed the most. Option 1 is to further pursue a claim against errors and omissions policy. We did discuss that at the June 8 meeting. Lincoln County explaining that their policy will not cover such an error. And we have requested a denial letter from the county's insurance carrier.
Did we get it?
I haven't seen anything.
Not a letter, but Marlene did send a letter from Lincoln County
Today.
stating that that there was a mishap in the. Did I give up to them?
No.
But there was an error or an omission.
She sent that to who?
She emailed it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that was late this afternoon, so that's why it hasn't in your packet, so we can certainly forward that. It was more of an acknowledgement that an error
Right.
had occurred, more than.
From the county,
Yes.
an acknowledgement
Yes.
from the county.
I believe that letter was discussed at the last meeting, so. Option 2 is to request payment in full from Lincoln County. I think that option is less palatable to Lincoln County, as cash would need to be taken directly from their fund balance and paid to the city. But it would make the city whole in the current tax year instead of refilling the proverbial bucket over the next coming years. Option 3 would be collect the overdue levy in the 2021 property taxes. That option is less desirable because it forces Lennox taxpayers to pay double for next year instead of spreading it out or taking out this year. That would make the city whole in 2021. And going forward, we would go back to that normal levy amount as proposed. And option 4 would be collect the overdue levy over the course of the life of the bond. That would spread the repayment of taxes due over the course of 13 years, with the county responsible for covering the cost of additional fees and interest as applicable. My recommendation would be a motion to authorize Lincoln County to collect the overdue levy over the course of the life of the bond.
So if we do that option 4, everyone's payment will increase for those 13 years of the taxes over what it should have been.
Yes.
Had we collected it correctly.
Yes.
And would it
And the
be,
county collected it.
So so the county collected it, so it kind of changes the deal that our residents voted for.
It does change Going back to the
I mean, they're gonna pay,
pool committee discussions, I wasn't around, but I remember it being, I don't know what the amount was that was proposed. But there's a certain dollar amount per value, 100,000 evaluation.
And this will cause it to
This
go
would
up.
not be consistent with that.
Correct.
To what percent?
You recall?
It was like less than 1%,
Yeah.
wasn't it? It's like $40 a year
Per 100.
per.
Per 100,000.
Per
Yes.
100,000.
Well,
$40 more.
yes, it was total $40 more.
Spread over 13 years.
Per 100,000.
Because that bond that we did, was that, did we say that was 15, right?
Yes. My personal opinion is until their Arizona emissions coverage declines it and we get proof of that, we push for that, because that's what's in the best interest of our citizens. The next step would be option 2. I mean, in most worlds, if you make the mistake, you pay the price for the mistake. I mean, there's not really a good option for anybody.
Right.
That's just my personal opinion.
There was some verbiage in the last minutes that pertained to the county's response saying even though it was omitted, it wasn't their responsibility.
That was their
So-
opinion.
They tried to shift
Yes.
blame in multiple places.
I think what they were saying, Bill, is ultimately the residents,
Missed it.
yeah, there was all kinds of finger pointing, but ultimately, the dollar amount is a dollar amount. The citizens voted, they bonded that amount. That was their argument. Am I paraphrasing that correctly?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, part of it was the citizens should have noticed the taxes didn't.
The state should have.
The state should have.
The state should have, we should have, everybody
Everybody
should.
would have.
But at the end of the day, what she told us was the buck stops with her.
And she ultimately sent an email today admitting that a mistake was made.
That, yes.
Yes. So I agree with you, Chad, that waiting for their rebuttal would probably be in our best interest. So,
And option 3 is completely out.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that even if the county pays it up front, I think the city still has to pay it back. I mean, the city owes,
Yeah,
Either way.
but they'll write us a check, or their insurance company will write us a check for X, and that'll cover our payment. So basically, our residents would miss an entire year of this.
no,
Right.
I mean, we would ultimately have to pay the county back for that check that they're gonna write to us. It would just be that we would receive that money now.
I don't,
Not on errors
not
and
in an
omissions.
error
Well,
of
I
emissions
don't know
policy,
about there's no emissions.
because that was an error that,
That's what.
it's like playing Monopoly and it's a big
Right,
error.
if it's not, there's no emissions,
He's-
then,
I don't disagree, I mean,
I mean, that's why you buy insurance,
Right.
for errors and omissions of large.
if it's denied, that's one thing, we don't know. if it's
Yeah,
been
once we,
denied.
because if they truly submitted a claim and named the city of Lennox as
Lost pay,
the lost payee, we would get the denial claim letter.
right.
I have the letter here if anybody would like to see it. I can put it up on TV otherwise. I'll read it. Okay. This is from Lincoln County Auditor, Marlene Sweeter, on October 2, 2018, the taxpayers of Lennox passed a $1.7 million pool bond for the city of Lennox. This bond was passed by 71.8% of the voters in that bond election. Please be advised that due to a series of events, the levy for the Lennox pool bond payment in the amount of $189,050.33 was inadvertently omitted in the 2019 payroll and 2020 levy process. Therefore, the real estate taxes that are currently being collected for 2019 payable in 2020 from the city of Lennox property owners do not include additional money to pay the Lennox pool bond payment, which is essentially what was presented last week. Cash-wise, any option works for us in terms of financing that. We can carry that debt for a year and pay the interest and principal in the meantime. That's not going to hurt us. The issue in front of us is, how do we make that work?
So, Nate, you're recommending option 4. I tend to agree with what Chad said, that we at least need to see proof that they filed an errors and omissions claim, but on option 4, they're stating that they're gonna cover any additional fees or interest that would be incurred by the citizens of Lennox.
I think,
Spreading that
I would think
out.
we should insist upon that.
Okay,
And I believe they would be amenable to that.
how, my concern is, how do we enforce that,
Right.
which bonds already passed?
Yeah. And
We're,
there's going to be no enforcement mechanism outside of legal evidence. That's the bottom line.
right,
If for no other reason than that, those property tax payments come to us from the county. So if we have something that is in addition to that, there's no mechanism in state code for us to demand of the county, make that whole outside of a legal agreement.
so that being said, we would need to get council involved and have some sort of an addendum or amendment
We would have to have.
drafted with that county, the commissioners are gonna have to sign off acknowledging
Yes,
that any extra fees,
I think that would be wise.
and they're going to pay the attorney's costs if we get to that point, I would assume.
We can certainly insist upon that.
Okay.
What do you need from us tonight?
I think direction tonight is, we don't need resolution tonight, simply need direction on which avenue the council would wish to move in making this whole.
I would agree, we start with option one and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, resolution 2020-62201, amended schedule of fees.
Thank you, Mayor. Additional fees were identified as a result of opening the new swimming pool and creation of the city's grading permit. So two items here. The city received some requests for pool rentals for birthday parties. We did talk about this earlier in the year. Decided as a group, we will see what comes this summer. We have had, I think, 2 requests at this point, if I remember right. Given that schedule will soon change in the coming couple of weeks, finding times for those parties will be a challenge, but we will work with families to find a time to the extent possible. In order to rent a pool, we need to identify that fee. The $75 fee that we're presenting tonight is based on nearby pool rates, but slightly lower as it is an outdoor pool. So look at Midco, look at the Sanford Wellness Center. They were slightly higher as indoor pools and additional space available. So this lane rental fee that we're also proposing here is consistent with what is currently charged for the Sioux Falls swim team. As part of our new updated subdivision regulations and design standards, we created a new grading permit. And this revision adopts fees that are consistent with those established by Harrisburg. I'd recommend a motion to approve resolution 6-22-2020-01.
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call, Chad.
Aye.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
Chad.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
And Bill. Thank you, and then we're gonna approve the ambulance roster.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So do you, I mean, it's quite a list, which is great. Do you pull in from, I know one of the gals on there lives there, she's a PA in Bonham and Avon. So she comes up every once in a while and helps.
She's actually one of our daytime.
Okay.
She hasn't been on with us since probably about March due to the COVID pandemic. Her employer is not allowing her to work for anyone else
Okay.
other than them. But as soon as this kind of settles out and everything, she'll be back with us, so.
All right, all in agreement?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Non-personnel, so the revised organizational chart.
Thank you, Mayor. As most of you remember, we updated the organizational chart in either late 2019 or early 2020 for the position of Public Works Director, and that's still on there. So with the departure of our Public Works Director back in March, we kept that big position vacant. The hiring of Kyle Rameke will eventually allow us to fill the position of Utility Superintendent again, leaving the question of how to manage the street department. This proposed revision recreates the position of street superintendent, which will report directly to the city administrator as
opposed? And then we have resignation of streets foreman.
So along with the reorganization, we received a notice of resignation from streets foreman Darren Meckles this past week. The effective date of that resignation, we're putting down as July 1. He's actually, today was his last day. He'll be taking PTO through the end of his employment here. So I would recommend two motions here. A motion to accept the resignation of Darren Meckles effective July 1st. And then a second motion to advertise an interview for the position of street superintendent.
Motion to accept the resignation of Darren Meckles.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion to advertise for a street superintendent.
Second.
Bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and now we have hire full-time police officer.
Mayor, council, our new full-time guy that I'm recommending that we hire, his name is Mark Lee. He hasn't been with the department very long, but he is an extreme go-getter. His level of experience and knowledge that he's shown us out on the street so far has already been a great asset to the department. As we've had multiple conversations about some of the guys that we've had working with us and their level of experience, I've had one phone call from that gentleman, and he's been able to figure everything out on his own. So, I mean, he's well over doing it so far. Last weekend, he had a pretty busy weekend.
Yeah, are you able to share a little bit of
Yeah,
Mr. Lee's activities this past week?
he found himself down near Yankton through a pursuit that was initiated here in Lennox. I believe he had a total of 5 arrests total for the weekend. Several vehicles were towed, different infractions, whether it be unlicensed drivers, DUIs, whatnot. That's about as far as I'd like to go into, not get myself in trouble with it. But, he's definitely a good hitter. He's out there protecting our community the way we expect an officer to do that. And in a small town like Lennox, it's easy to get complacent, slow down and enjoy the slow pace of the town. But with officers like Mark, I mean, we really enjoy guys like him being out there, making sure that when you guys are asleep, he's really keeping it quiet.
Motion approved.
Do you have a salary range for him?
$21.50, I believe, is what we were going to start him on.
Correct.
Is that pretty standard with what we've done with other new guys?
Yes.
Is there a probational period?
We have a 6-month probationary period currently right now. We will be readdressing that probably by the next city council meeting. We met with the insurance agent and they were going over some of our policies and whatnot that they would like to see us go back to a 1 year, but it's not a hard and fast rule for them.
Call those recommendations, not requirements.
We
Motion
appreciate it.
approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I don't believe there's anything for executive session unless somebody has another idea.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right.
Thank you guys.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah. Gotta do this. All right. There you go. Instead of coming to you, I watch, but-
Make some cheat sheets up there.
I know, yeah.
Yes, first, second, discussion.
Right, yeah. Well, we'll try.
Yeah, are you going back out there? That's the plan, we'll see.
I gotta go pick my kid up there.
Oh, yeah. Out at Carmel. I'll get Carmel.
I left at the top of the 7th, so I didn't get to see. We were on 12 to 3.
They should.